What would you do if I told you the TSA's 311 liquid rule, the one we've all been following for almost 20 years, is finally changing in 2026? You'd probably think, great, I can finally pack my full-size shampoo. I thought the same thing. Until I actually dug into what's happening. Because here's the truth, thousands of travelers right now are showing up at airports, packing full-size toiletries, thinking the rule is gone, and getting everything confiscated. Some of them are losing their entire carry-on bags to secondary screening. And the confusion? It's only getting worse. Let me tell you about a traveler who posted on Reddit back in January. They said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I read online that TSA is changing the liquid rules this year, so I packed full-size everything. Shampoo, conditioner, sunscreen. Then I got to security, and they took it all. Every single bottle. Tossed. Gone. And this person isn't alone. This is happening at airports across the country right now in 2026. And the reason it's happening comes down to one massively misunderstood word: CT scanners. But before I get into that, let me quickly rewind. Because to understand what's changing, and more importantly, what's not, you need to know why the 311 rule exists in the first place. Back in August 2006, British intelligence uncovered a plot to blow up transatlantic flights using liquid explosives disguised as sports drinks. The plan was to mix chemicals mid-flight and detonate them. It would have been catastrophic. Multiple planes, hundreds of people. After that was foiled, aviation security worldwide went into overdrive. And that's when the TSA introduced the 3-1-1 rule. 3.4 ounces per container. 1 quart-sized clear bag. 1 bag per passenger. That's it. It hasn't changed since. We're talking about a rule that's been in place for nearly 2 decades now. And here in 2026, the official TSA website still says the same thing. 3.4 ounces or less per container. All containers in 1 quart-sized bag. Period. So, why does everyone think it changed? Here's where it gets interesting. The TSA has been rolling out something called computed tomography scanners, CT scanners, at major airports across the country. These are basically 3D imaging machines, similar to what you'd see in a hospital. Instead of the old flat X-ray images, these scanners create a full 3-dimensional render of everything inside your bag. TSA officers can rotate the image, zoom in, slice through layers. It's a massive upgrade. And by early 2026, over 90% of major US hubs, we're talking Atlanta, LAX, JFK, O'Hare, have these installed. Now here's the part that's causing the confusion. At airports with CT scanners, you no longer have to pull your liquids bag out of your carry-on. You don't have to take your laptop out either. You just send the whole bag through, and the machine can see everything clearly. That feels like a rule change, right? It feels like things are more relaxed. But, and this is critical, it's not a policy change. It's a technology change. You still can't bring a 12-ounce bottle of water through. You still need containers at 3.4 ounces or less. You still need to fit them in a quart bag. The only difference is that at CT-equipped lanes, you can leave that quart bag zipped inside your carry-on, instead of fishing it out and putting it in a separate bin. And here's where it gets even more confusing. Not every checkpoint at these major airports has CT scanners. You might fly out of Atlanta, one of the busiest airports on Earth, walk up to one security lane, and they've got a brand new CT machine. No problem. Leave your bag packed. But walk up to the next lane over, old school X-ray. Pull everything out. Follow the full 3-1-1 procedure. Same airport, different experience. The TSA doesn't even publish a complete list of which specific checkpoints at which airports have CT scanners. So unless you see a sign at the lane telling you otherwise, you're expected to follow the original rules. Now, let me make this even more complicated, because there's an international angle here that's really fueling the confusion. Several major UK airports, Heathrow, Gatwick, Edinburgh, Birmingham, have officially raised their liquid limit to 2 litres for departing passengers. That's 67 ounces. You could bring a full-size bottle of shampoo, a whole water bottle, no problem. And European airports with these same CT scanners are doing similar things. American travelers are reading those headlines, seeing liquid rules relaxed, and assuming it applies to US airports too. It doesn't, not even close. And get this, back in July 2025, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem made a statement that TSA was, quote, re-evaluating the liquids policy. She even hinted that the next big announcement could involve the size of liquids allowed. That set off a wave of speculation. News outlets ran with it. Social media amplified it. People started packing like the rules were already gone. But as of right now, in 2026, no official nationwide policy change has been implemented. The 311 rule stands exactly as it has since 2006. And here's a number that might surprise you. A TSA spokesperson told Upgraded Points that full CT scanner capability across all US airports, at current funding levels, isn't projected to happen until around 2042. That's right, 2042. We're potentially looking at another 16 years before the infrastructure is even in place to consider dropping the liquid rule nationally. And even then, TSA said they'll need to evaluate security implications, retrain officers, and ensure consistent enforcement across thousands of checkpoints. Some security experts are even predicting we'll end up with a tiered system. Major hubs with CT scanners allowing bigger liquids, while smaller regional airports keep the 3-to-1-1 rule. Indefinitely, because they simply can't afford the technology upgrade. So right now, as of 2026, here's the reality for you as a traveler. If you pack a 6-ounce bottle of moisturizer in your carry-on and walk up to a checkpoint without a CT scanner, which, by the way, is still the case at most regional and secondary airports, that bottle is getting tossed. No exceptions, no appeals. And if your bag triggers a secondary screening, because of non-compliant liquids, you could be looking at an extra 20 to 30 minutes of delay while they go through everything. That's time you might not have, especially if you're already dealing with the other big change hitting travelers right now. Because the liquid confusion isn't the only thing tripping people up in 2026. There's also Real ID. Starting February 1st, 2026, if you show up to a TSA checkpoint without a Real ID compliant driver's license, that's the one with the gold star in the corner, or a valid passport, you're not just turned away. You're directed to a separate area where you can pay a $45 non-refundable fee to use something called TSA Confirm ID. It's an alternative identity verification process, and it can take up to 30 minutes. So picture this. You're already running late. Your liquids bag gets flagged because you packed a full-size sunscreen thinking the rules changed. They pull your bag for secondary screening, and then they check your ID and realize your license doesn't have the star. Now you're paying $45, waiting half an hour for identity verification, and your flight's boarding. That's a real scenario people are living through right now. Let me also mention something that a lot of travelers don't realize. TSA doesn't technically confiscate your items. Legally, you're voluntarily abandoning them at the checkpoint. That means once they take your $40 bottle of face serum or your brand new full-size sunscreen, it's gone. You're not getting it back. The most commonly surrendered items at TSA checkpoints: oversized liquids, water bottles, shampoo, bug spray, sunscreen. Every single day, thousands of items get tossed into bins because travelers either forgot the rules or thought they'd changed. So what should you actually do before your next flight? Here's the straightforward version. First, pack as if the US States 3-to-1-1 rule is fully in effect, because it is. 3.4 ounces per container, 1 quart bag, 1 bag per person. Don't assume your airport has CT scanners. Don't assume the headlines you read apply to your terminal. Second, check your ID. Make sure your driver's license has that gold star, or bring a passport. If you're not sure whether your license is Real ID compliant, check your state's DMV website before you head to the airport. Third, if you need full-size liquids, and honestly, most of us do on longer trips, just put them in your checked bag. That's still the simplest way to avoid any issue at the checkpoint. And fourth, consider solid alternatives. Shampoo bars, solid deodorant, toothpaste tablets. None of those fall under the liquid rule. They don't go in the quart bag. They don't get flagged. Now there is some good news on the horizon. TSA has been exempting 11 specific items from the 311 rule at CT-equipped checkpoints. These include baby formula in any quantity, breast milk, liquid prescription medications, over-the-counter medicines, in full-size bottles, medical ice packs, contact lens solution, and a few others. That's a meaningful change for parents, people with medical needs, and frequent travelers who've been frustrated by rigid rules around necessary items. And the shoe removal rule, gone as of July 2025. You can keep your shoes on at domestic checkpoints now. So things are improving, just not as fast as the headlines suggest. Here's the bottom line. The 311 liquid rule is not gone. The experience at some airports is changing because of CT scanners, but the actual rule is exactly the same. And until TSA makes an official, nationwide announcement with specific dates and new limits, the safest move is to pack compliant. Don't let a confusing headline cost you your carry-on at security. If you've dealt with this confusion firsthand, maybe you got something confiscated, or maybe you breezed through at a CT lane, drop a comment below and share what happened. Your experience could save someone else a headache. And if this breakdown helped you understand what's actually going on, hit that like button. It tells me you want more of these deep dives into travel rules that actually matter. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, because I'm covering the full real ID situation next. And trust me, that one's got even more surprises. I'll see you there.